Welcome back to the Sibling Group Chat. I'm Owen.
And I'm Cassidy.
And today we are back at it with the Odyssey Review, episode 27, covering Rumor Has It.
Yes, this is the 29th episode of Adventures in Odyssey, and it originally aired on June 4th, 1988. However, it is a part of album number 3, Heroes. We've had a few episodes like this now where, for whatever reason, they were stuck with later albums. In this episode...
As we record this, we have finished album 1 now, right?
We have finished album 1. We have not yet started album 2.
All right.
But we have recorded some of album 3 and 6, so we're still in this weird area of the show being figured out.
Right.
But anyway, in this episode, the Kierbin family is new to Odyssey, and rumors about them abound. In spite of young Lucy Cunningham's caution, a curious boy named Jack Davis is determined to reveal the truth. And our theme is gossip.
Yep.
These are our first episodes with Jack and Lucy, and I'm so excited.
I am too. Let's just get into the story real quick because I have a quick note about the start of the story before what I was going to just say. So, all we get from Chris is that the family called the Kierbin family. At times in the episode, it sounds more like Kerbin, but somewhere in that area, Kerbin family.
Yeah, they spell it with an I, and so sometimes the sounds.
They just moved to Odyssey, and they like to keep to themselves. And so our story starts with Lucy and Jack walking past the house because they walk past it every day on their way to school. The Kierbin's son, they can always see him in the window, presumably watching them. He's there anyway. And just before we get too far into the story, because this is where I noted it as I was listening, like, it's great to hear Lucy and Jack, to hear people that like stick around for a while. Like, this isn't our fifth Freddy anymore. Like, we're getting people who stick around now.
Yeah, these are our first recurring kids, aren't they?
I think so, unless you count Freddy as a recurring kid.
The name was recurring, but the kid was not.
There might have been it's just where it was maybe the same Freddy, but
it's just I don't know. It's just so comforting to have them here, and part of that is because this is a later episode. So, it's an album's later, so to us it just feels like we're already in the groove of Odyssey by now.
Well, I was gonna say, I was talking to you outside. There's a few more. There's some lost episodes sprinkled in over our next, I guess I would say 20-ish episodes, which I know is a really long time in terms of our listening schedule. But I was looking ahead. I think I might have been on the phone with you when I was looking ahead, and we were just talking about how Odyssey really started to hit their first really good stretch right around their 30th episode. We're on their 29th right now. And obviously I don't know how good the lost episodes are because I haven't got to them yet, so I haven't listened to them. But most of these upcoming episodes are some really solid episodes. And I think part of that is because they start to have recurring characters are starting to show up.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's just so nice to hear them, and I just have to say, Lucy's voice.
Lucy's voice.
You think her voice never changes, but boy does it, because when she's older, it's not quite this squeaky. No offense to the voice actor, I'm not criticizing her voice, it's iconic, but there's no other way to describe it.
I'd arguably say that it just fits her personality as a character, though.
Yeah, and it's just they sound so young here because it is their first episode, but when you feel like Lucy's voice never changes, you're like, oh yeah, it does.
Yeah. This is way later in the episode, so I'll probably touch on it again. But it does show you that it's still somewhat in the earlier Odyssey period as well, because the last episode with Kirk McGinty, that kid's voice actor voices a completely different boy in this episode at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah, he does.
But so that'll kind of show you that some of this is not recurring. Like, we never hear of the Kierbin family again, but we're starting to get into that era of recurring characters.
Yep.
So anyway, back to our story. Basically, Lucy and Jack just think that the house and the kid in the window are creepy. And
And
then
this seems to be the general consensus among kids in town.
right. But it also doesn't seem like Lucy and Jack have talked too much to other kids about it in town because Jack says that they should go talk to Alice Pringle. I think that's her name. Because he
Yeah.
heard that she had been in the house or at the house or something. And then from
Yeah.
there, it compounds like it seems like everybody's talking about it. And maybe they already had been, but I get the feeling Lucy and Jack hadn't been involved too much in it before they talked to Alice. And part of that's because
That's,
Alice, at lunch, she says that she had been to the house and then she ended up running away. She was going there to sell cookies, but she was scared for her life because her brother had told her or heard, because he passed the house on the paper route, that he thought the father was part of like the mafia or a terrorist group or something.
yeah. Which I was a little confused if she was going to sell
Yeah,
cookies and
I
then
did
just
too. Like, if she was
left.
going there and then she came and was like, oh no, it's creepy, just like he said.
But I wondered if, and this isn't super consistent with the rest of the episode either, if she didn't know it was this family's house. Like she knew of the family, but she didn't know which
Yeah,
house was
like,
theirs. And then the dad
that
opens
could
the
be.
door and she runs. Because like
Yeah,
Jack and
that could
Lucy
be.
walk by the house, so that's why they know it. But maybe not every kid knows the house; they
Yeah,
just know
that
of the
could be.
family. But yeah, at first I was like, why was she there if she didn't want to sell them
Yeah,
cookies?
right. Um, so yeah, I think that this is more where the rumors start. Kind of like I think there had been some, but I think it's as Jack and Lucy get curious because they pass the house every day. And Lucy even says later that they're the only kids who walk from their street, so they're presumably the only kids walking past the house every day.
Probably, yeah. There's a
So
few
I think
funny
as they
lines.
get curious, that would get everybody else more curious, even if they'd only heard if they'd heard about them. Now, because people who actually see the house every day are curious about it, it might heighten the rumors, I guess.
Yeah. There's a few funny lines back to that opening scene with Jack and Lucy walking past the house. Like Lucy says, "I've got the goose pimples."
Yeah,
Who calls them that?
that's what
It's
I was thinking.
goosebumps.
It's like, what even is that?
Yeah, I think she means
Did they
goosebumps.
call
I've just
them
never
that
heard
in
them.
1988?
I don't know. Maybe it's a regional thing, or yeah, who wrote this episode? I'm not sure. But then also Jack, when he's just talking about the family, um, he's talking about the father, and he says nobody hardly ever sees him, which is a double negative, but whatever. Yeah, just some funny lines.
Nobody hardly ever sees him, which means a lot of people see him
A
sometimes.
lot. Either nobody ever sees him, or everyone's seeing him all the time, but
Yeah.
nobody hardly sees him.
There's like an insane amount of people who see him like briefly every day.
Yeah. Uh huh.
I don't know if this is probably the right time to have this conversation, but you just said something about maybe it's regional. Do you buy into the theory that Odyssey is in Ohio?
No. Well, I mean, it could be.
I,
I
I
normally
feel like I heard
I
that.
think put it more in the I states, in my opinion, just
It's a,
because they talk
a
about
little bit
Chicago.
further west of Ohio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I
I
don't
can't remember
consider
I heard.
Ohio part of the
I don't know
Midwest,
where I
so
heard and or saw that.
I have seen it several places too. But
But
I'd
yeah,
like to think
apparently
it's
that's a
more.
theory.
I'd like to put it more true Midwest than
Yeah.
Ohio. No offense to
I will say it
Ohio.
does make like they do. It does have to be west or east of Iowa because Eugene and Bernard go through Iowa on their road trip. But other than
Mhm.
that, we don't really know. Anyway. Oh, also,
That's so random.
sorry. You said regionally. It made me think of it.
I know.
I
I
would say
know.
in my head, Odyssey is in between Iowa and Chicago because I feel like in my mind, if they're going to Chicago, they're going east.
Yeah.
They don't ever say
Or
which
north.
direction they're going. Oh yeah, or north. They don't ever say
They
which
go up
direction
to
they're going.
Chicago.
But in my mind, it's
Yeah.
either north or east or a little bit northeast.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
Anyway,
agree.
away from that
Anyway,
tangent. Sorry that you said regionally and made me think of that.
it's okay. Um, Alice tells them that her brother sees Mr. Kierman leaving the house several times a week with a body-sized package at
Right.
4:30 in the morning, which is not creepy at all.
Right. I can understand. What is oh, Lucy's like, I don't want to hear anymore.
I know. Well, and then later, because Alice says it's body sized, but she doesn't necessarily say, I think these are bodies. But then later, Jack and Lucy are talking about it at wit's end, and Jack says something about, "I bet those things he's carrying are his experiments." And Lucy goes, "You think those are people?" Just the way her voice cracks, people.
She was specifically cast for the voice cracks, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
I mean, I think they were just casting kids, but she became known for the voice cracks. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, I want to have a conversation about how realistic it would be for the package to look like a body once we get to the part where we find out what the packages were. So just keep that in your mind before we get there.
Yeah. I'll circle back to that.
Yeah. So after school, is it after school? Or did I skip a part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's after school and Jack and
Lucy
Lucy
doesn't want to walk the same way home, or, well, no, they've gone to Wits End, so theoretically they don't walk by it if they go to Wits End. And then the next day she doesn't want to walk past the house on their way to school, I think, is what's happening.
Yeah, she's just telling Jack she's like done walking past the house. She doesn't want to do it anymore.
And Jack's like, no, we're going to walk past the house because it's the best way to get there. And so basically they decide that they're not going to walk to school together since Jack is going to go by the house. Because Jack is curious. He wants to know what's going on in there. He thinks his father's a mad scientist.
Do you think Jack has just been talking to everybody about this family at school all day? Because the grapevines he was talking about, the rumors he was getting from so-and-so, who got it from so-and-so, who got it from so-and-so. I don't think Jack got any schoolwork done today.
No. Jack was in math class writing notes to the people next to him.
Yeah.
Like, what do you know about the Kierden family?
They're like, nobody, but I know so-and-so knows this. Yeah.
Right. So I think Jack leaves and then Lucy goes to talk to Mr. Whitaker.
No, Mr. Whitaker comes and talks to them because he asks them if they want anything.
Yeah,
and Jack has 45 cents.
Yeah, and Jack
what can I get for 45 cents?
Yeah, but you can get a soda.
Just really cheap.
Yeah. But then Mr. Whitaker, I don't know if does he ask them what they're talking about or something?
I think so.
Yeah, because Jack goes, Lucy starts to tell him, and then Jack's like, no, Mr. Whitaker doesn't have time to talk about our games.
Yeah.
But basically they end up telling him that there's just this odd family, and Mr. Whitaker he knows about them. He knows that they moved in, but he doesn't know anything else about them. He said they're private people. And Whit clears up something here. Well, not clears up something, but states something that is definitely not the common opinion, that just because people keep to themselves does not mean that they're crazy or weird or that you should be afraid of them. Which is really the whole reason why all the kids are talking. It's because they keep to themselves. So then we basically get to the next day from there, right? There's nothing else that happens.
I think that's about it. Jack, we can tell that Jack is really scheming about finding out about this family.
I was thinking during this episode, I never really noticed, but Jack and Kurt, I don't think they're ever in an episode together until maybe in album 50 when some of these kids come back as like adults. Jack and Kurt are both in that one episode. But as kids in Odyssey, I don't think they're ever in the same episode, are they?
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I'm not going to say absolutely no, because I want somebody to come after me.
This episode, how much similarities they have. Like, this whole episode, I was really thinking about Kurt, especially the Silver Streak episode, the redone one where Kurt is doing his investigation.
Yeah. See, I was thinking of Heat Wave when Jack is again playing the detective.
Yeah.
Or that's another time where, But I think the similarities just come out where when they're always playing Lucy against these boys, Lucy is always the smarter one, so the boys have to have some similarities.
It's true.
Not smarter, but more responsible.
Is there ever an episode with... No, I guess there is a couple. I say there's not many, but there's a couple episodes where Lucy is a main character and plays opposite of another girl, not a boy.
Yeah, but not very often.
No.
And it honestly feels weird when she does. She does. She does
in the newspaper episode with the Emily or whatever her name is. And then in the episode about the Sacred Trust or whatever.
Yeah, and she does have some episodes with Donna and Robin too, like one or two each.
She's in Connie's Camp What in an episode. interacting mostly with girls as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
But yeah,
we are on
she
so
does.
many rabbit trails today. This is what
I think
happens when you give us new characters that
we're
stick
just so
around.
excited about Jack and Lucy
There's
that we
too
just
much to
can't stop
talk
talking
about.
about them. Yeah. But anyway, we get to school the next day where Lucy did walk the long way all by herself.
She said it was very pleasant too.
Yeah.
Jack had been
I mean,
talking to Alice because he wants to go uh, on the paper route with her brother. And then Lucy comes up and asks how his walk to school, or something. They talk about their walks to school, and Jack said, well, it wouldn't have been weird today because the kid wasn't in the window. And so they're all kind of wondering where he was. And I think it's Jack, says, I'll tell you where he is, or something along those lines.
I
And
think Alice might say it, but yeah.
Alice. One of them realizes that the boy was not in the window because the boy is in their classroom.
And then we get like the suspense music.
Yeah, so we find out his name is John. John Kerbin has come to school. We find out later in the episode the reason he went to school is because he saw Jack and Lucy going to school every day, and he wanted to go to school. So he's at school, but all the kids, presumably partially because of Jack, have now heard at least some random rumor about the Kerbin family. So you kind of hear some like murmurs and whispers. You can kind of imagine that literally every kid in that class is whispering to a neighbor, like, that's the kid.
Yeah. Yep.
Which
I think you even hear some of it. It's like you hear like it's the boy in the window. Like you can hear some of the words of the murmurs.
And so you kind of almost feel bad for John immediately.
Yeah, well, Lucy does. Lucy starts to feel sorry for him, and Jack is like, "I thought you were afraid of him."
Yeah, well, and that even happens a little bit later because as you see later on the school day, I think it's when they're at their lunch break, that John has been by himself all day. Nobody's interacted with him at all, and Lucy is very bothered by it. At the same time, not bothered enough that she can get over her like own apprehensions. Again, partially because of rumors, so she doesn't go to talk to him either.
Yeah.
But then, so we find at wit's end at the end of the day. Jack is telling Lucy about his plans to go find out what's happening at the Kerbin house, and Lucy says he's crazy. Basically, Jack is going the next morning with Peter, who's Alice's brother, on his paper route, and they're gonna go find out what's happening. Jack says he's gonna be a hero. He wants Lucy to come, and Lucy doesn't want to come, but he says you'll feel bad when I'm on the front page of the paper or something like that.
Well, actually, when he tells her, "I want you to come with me," we get Lucy going, "What?"
Yeah.
And then later, when she won't help him and he like storms off, she yells after him, "Don't be such a baby!" I feel like she's the one being a baby, if anyone is.
Right.
Like,
I think it's more because he just up and left, not because of the content that they were talking about.
Yeah, but it just felt weird. I was like, I don't think he's being a baby, other than just running off instead of ending the conversation.
You know, I wonder. You know, later the radio tower episode or whatever, when Lucy has the line, she goes, "Yuck! I hate my voice on tape." Do you think that Lucy, like, actually at times does not like how, like, I don't know what her actor's name is, but do you think that comes from, like, some people who don't actually like her voice on tape? Or is that just a funny line?
I don't know, it could be a funny line, but it could also just be kind of lightly making fun of her unique voice. I'm sure at times...
actually, like, not like her voice, but, like, making fun of, like, that her voice does crap like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there are times, especially as a kid, that she was insecure about it, but I assume you don't have to. I mean, there's even, well, like, Katie Lee, who plays Connie, is an older woman now, and that's still her voice. But I saw a thing once where she said, you know, that thing that I got made fun of all those years is now how I make money. So you learn to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so after Jack leaves, we leave the Jack and Lucy realm briefly, and we are transitioning to Mr. Whitaker talking to Connie. Connie comes in. She's late to work, which is not unusual.
No.
But she actually has a somewhat like reasonable excuse this time, and she was on her way, would have been there on time, but then there's this boy or she thought she heard crying. She turned and she saw a boy who was crying, so she tried to go talk to him. She said that he was hard to understand between the fact that he was crying and she thought he had some kind of accent. But what she understood is he had gone to school and nobody would talk to him. And that was about all she got, I think.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. As she was on her way to Wits End after that, she saw some kids who thought it might be John Kerbin, who had been a new kid at their school that day.
Yeah.
But she can't remember the last name. I just think it's slightly funny. I don't remember the first. She says John something, and then she says Carlsbad. How do you get Carlsbad out of someone saying Kerbin? I don't remember what her first trying to remember thing was. It was much closer than Carlsbad, whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are similar sounds there. There's the k and the b. I don't know. It's Connie.
Yeah, I was mostly wondering about the Arl part.
I don't know.
There's no L in Kerbin.
I don't know. I mean, Whit ends up calling Lucy over, or maybe she just comes over and joins them, and then they start asking.
He's Lucy, and Lucy's coming over, but he asks Lucy how she is. Whatever he says to Lucy, Lucy's response is rather aggressive, and he says, "Whoa, you sound like you're about to bite someone's head off."
Yeah.
She says, "It's Jack."
Jack. He
She
makes me so mad
Jack's
sometimes.
head off, but yeah. Anyway, Whit asks her about John being at school. She says nobody would talk to him. And Whit asks why, and she basically says, well, because everybody knows this and that, heard this from that person. It's like, and these people know the Kerbin family? She's like, no, not exactly. But they heard it from these people. And he's like, who have interacted with the Kerbin family? He's like, no.
No.
I guess it sounds kind of stupid, doesn't it? And this has got to be the only time Mr. Whittaker says the word stupid.
I know. He's like, it sounds extremely stupid.
Like, whoa, Mr. Whittaker, calm down there.
Yeah, better not let Mom hear him say that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, our mom does not like people using the word stupid.
Yeah. She was scarred from a couple of years of teaching. Too many kids use the word stupid.
But, I mean, I'd say this extreme gossip is stupid.
Yeah,
I think it was valid in his use.
Like I wrote, it seems a bit out of character. At the same time, it helps him make his point. And there are times when Mr. Whittaker, if something actually is an issue that he feels strongly about, you can tell. And this is one of those things.
Yeah, and he is, I mean, Lucy said stupid first, so he was just reusing her word, so.
Well, basically, he asked Lucy to go to the Kerbin house, walk John to school.
To which we get another, what?
Right. So she does it the next day, but John will be going back to school because she only sees his father. She actually
she can barely get her words out.
Bumbling words. She asks if she can
walk to John with school.
Walk to John with school. Because Mr. Kerbin answered the door, said John isn't going back to school. She says thank you and runs off. At the same time, Jack is coming. So maybe Jack must have not. It must have been not that next day, but I guess we find out it's the day after the next day that Jack was going, because Jack happened to be walking to school at the same time Lucy runs away from the Kerbin house.
He's like, asked her what's wrong, and she's like, I don't care if Mr. Whittaker is Mr. Whittaker.
Yeah.
Which is so, basically she's saying, like, I don't care if he is the wisest man, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. But then we don't get any context of anything that happened the rest of that day. But the next day, early, Jack and Peter, who's Alice's brother, are at the house. Peter's on his paper route. Jack had either met him there or gone along with him. Just like point out, as I mentioned earlier, Peter is voiced by the same voice actor who voiced Kurt in the last episode.
I actually didn't notice that this time.
He was.
I believe you. But I'm just saying, normally I'm the one who notices these things, and I wasn't really paying attention.
They have some walkie-talkies.
Which, I'd like to point out, I want to know what happened to Jack's walkie-talkies, because in Heat Wave, they use Oscar's walkie-talkie. Oscar's dad's walkie-talkies. So, did Jack's walkie-talkies get taken away after this, or what?
He left them in the Kerbin's yard.
He dropped them. The cat took them.
Yeah.
The cat got them.
One day, the cat got him.
Yeah, got him.
If anybody knows that reference, I would be shocked. That is a very
Yeah,
out of pocket
let's not
reference.
say anything else and see if anyone else gets it.
Right.
I'll be so impressed.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, they have these walkie-talkies.
Yeah. So he hops the fence. Peter's job is basically to stay outside the yard and call the police if Jack dies.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Like literally, that's what they're kind of expecting because they think that
they think this man is a mad scientist or
like
a
mad
serial
scientist,
killer
terrorist, mafia member, or something like I legitimately think that Jack is like, you stay here, call the police if I go silent, and
yeah, he's like, I'm gonna die for the truth.
Yeah. But so he hops the fence, hides behind some trash cans, and Mr. Kierman comes out with his large package as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Then a cat startles Jack, and I think Jack knocks over a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
Just like to point out, we did find out earlier in the episode that some people who lived close by, their cat had gone into that yard, and they had never seen it again. So apparently that cat just lived in the yard after. It was like snuck away and like, there's people's trash. It's better when you feed me.
But also, it's cats. Like, that cat could have been roaming around the entire neighborhood and they just never saw it again.
That's
like,
true.
You're telling me that a cat stayed in one yard for weeks?
That's
no.
But so Mr. Kierman, I don't know if he chases. He probably does kind of chase Jack because Jack is on his property. But presumably because he either heard yelling or Jack got through quickly on the walkie-talkie, Peter does call the police because the police show up and Jack and Mr. Kierman are kind of talking over each other. What'd you say?
I said Chuck Bolte shows up.
Yeah. And Jack is trying to convince the police that Mr. Kierman is doing something illegal and that they'll find what they need to find if they just look in the van.
Look in the van.
Look in the van. Just look in the
van. Yeah, but he like spouts off all these things they believe about the guy, so Mr. Kierman now knows what everyone thinks about him.
Yeah. But so the officer, just to, I would say partly partially satisfy his own curiosity, but
well, I think at this point he has to
get Jack to shut up too.
Yeah.
Ask Mr. Kierman, can I look in the van just to put his dress? And Mr. Kierman also is like, is it not normal to have like a warrant or something? He's like, it is, but can we just do this so that we can just get it done? So they open up the van, opens the package. It's a handmade carpet. I just like to point out that is this not what we actually call a rug?
Did he not call it a rug?
No, it's a carpet.
Oh, I thought they called it a rug.
If it's not the permanent flooring in a room, it's not a carpet. It's a rug.
In general, I'd agree, but you don't have the flying rug in Aladdin.
That's true. Although, I would say, if it wasn't flying in my mind, it would be a rug. It would
be a rug. Yeah, I guess I don't know the technical difference.
Yeah.
But in general, I would agree with you.
Basically, he hand makes these carpets and takes them, he says, to a warehouse in Connellsville.
And I think this is the first mention of Connellsville.
Yeah, we get Connellsville.
It's a weird...
he has to...
I think it's...
He leaves at like between 4:30 and 5 in the morning to get there, and now it's... Does he say he has to get there by 6?
I think so.
Okay, so just for reference...
Connellsville's an hour and a half away.
Connellsville's between an hour and an hour and a half away at this point in time. Just remember that.
We should write down every time reference to the distance of Connellsville.
Because I'm positive there are times when Connellsville is like 20 minutes away.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Mr. Kierman is also...
Mr. Kierman is going to be late to get to Connellsville, and apparently they cannot take his carpet if it's after 6.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird, but we don't really know the whole situation,
no,
so...
I don't want to be that guy, but going to a warehouse with a carpet at 6 in the morning, it's a little sketchy, you know?
It's a little, but only if you don't know. And how many people...
I was joking.
I know.
But so the police officer actually ends up buying the carpet So that's the end of that. We get Mr. Whitaker talking to Connie next, I think. Basically says that the whole situation offered him an opportunity to talk to Mr. Kirby. I don't know how that connected, but
Because
Mr. Whitaker went to go talk to the Kerbin family, talk to Mr. Kerbin, found out that they were very private people. The wife, who some people have perceived as very rude, just didn't talk much because she didn't speak English well, so she just didn't talk rather than speak broken English.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Kierman was also a licensed teacher, which is why John had been going to school. The only reason he had gone in the first place is because he'd seen Jack and Lucy going to school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would just like to see what you think here. Do you feel like they were making it sound like homeschooling was a rare thing? And maybe it was in 89 or 88. But
Yeah,
like Connie was like
maybe
everyone was like, why isn't this kid going to school? Like, I can't believe he's not going to school. Like, was it that weird to be homeschooled?
I would almost wonder if maybe it's like people who live in town. Like I feel like generally, or at least not generally, but there's like the people who are homeschooled aren't as like no, maybe not. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Odyssey just, I mean, from general knowledge of Odyssey, is not a homeschooling town because it's not like we hear about it much. So.
Yeah.
I just made it feel like
wonder, like
made it
a lot of
really
families, even if people are homeschooled, it's not like you never see them out in public. Though.
That's true. That's true. I just feel like it was the fact that he wasn't going to school is what they were harping on, not that they never saw him.
Yeah. So then Lucy comes into Wits End with John, introduces him to Mr. Whitaker and Connie, says that she would like them to meet her friend John Kerbin. Mr. Whitaker jokingly, and I gotta wonder, maybe it wasn't the best time considering the guy was right there. But Mr. Whitaker's like, I thought you were deathly afraid of him.
The kid's got to learn American humor sometime.
But I'm guessing he doesn't know it yet.
You don't know what happens after the episode cuts.
Lucy says, oh, Mr. Whitaker, when are you going to learn you can't believe everything you're going to hear? And then that's the end of the episode.
Chris wraps up with talking about James 3 and the dangers of the tongue.
Yeah, and words can hurt. And then, I think that about does it.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson, and it's a good episode. It's our first one, Jack and Lucy. They don't come back for quite some time, but you know.
But yeah, I think that'll about do it. What do we got next week?
Next week, we are reviewing episode 30, Honor Thy Parents, which is a Lost episode.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot to point out earlier when we were talking about the police officer, I was checking on this episode in the official Odyssey guide. Originally, the police officer was going to be Officer Harley, and at the last minute, they switched to Chuck Bolte. Yep.
No offense, but if they hadn't written him out, going out with like a good case, I can't imagine what he would have done. It's like it would have been a train wreck.
It would have been it is a serious scene, and just having him in it, like his timing would just not work.
No.
Yeah, so good call, Odyssey.
Yeah. So we'll look forward to that. We thank you for listening. Follow us on our social media and subscribe wherever you get the podcast. And we will see you next week.
Yep. Bye.